Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
We're on.
Hi, welcome back to the Practice Podcast.
Hi, Jeff.
Where we talk about, leadership, mentorship, innovation, growth, law, life, business.
The exuberance and excitement in your voice. It's amazing. It's not bad for hump day. It is Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I don't know when someone's listening to this, but for us, it's Wednesday.
That's what I'm saying. Today,
exactly.
We're recording this on a Wednesday.
Yes, we are. And happy to be here.
Yeah, always.
So.
Yes, Jeff.
Do you have a question for me or no? All right. So my question to you is, what hobby would you take up if time and money were no object? Which, by the way, I know time and money are no object to you. What hobby?
Wait. I'm free to go.
You're free to go. No.
Give me all my time back?
I didn't.
Probably an easy one is I used to play the drums when I was younger, so maybe I would take that back up.
I know a teacher.
I know you do. I know you do. I could never be as good as Max Bast, but I might want to take that up. And I'm sure if Lauren would listen to this, she would nix that idea very quickly. But maybe guitar.
You'd need a soundproof room.
I'd need a soundproof room, or go out into the woods somewhere and just play the drums, or guitar. What about you, Mr.
I think I would. It's a hobby I've had for a long time, but scuba diving. But I would like to get some advanced certifications and do more. More scuba diving. More diving.
Is that deeper, or is that like deeper waters, or is that like what is that? What does that mean?
It can be deeper waters, but you usually get an advanced certification within a category. So it could be like navigation or nitrox breathing, or certain different types.
Wait, what was that kind of breathing?
Nitrox. It's a different type of gas.
Does that make you happy? What is that? Nitrox?
I don't know. It's a whole nother podcast. I'd have to Google it to try to explain it.
Just ChatGPT it.
But just doing more advanced diving. So I like to do it.
All right. Fair enough.
And I've been diving for 30 something years, but I just
maybe if you do
don't do it enough.
And I get to take up one of these instruments that I'm talking about, or renew on the drums, I can play some music while you're scuba diving.
On the boat when I'm in between dives. That sounds very pleasant. That could be lovely. All right. It's a date.
Oh, okay.
Should we ask our guest what his...
I think we should.
Let's. Why don't we turn to our guest? Our guest is someone who's built a standout brand in criminal defense and DUI law, not just in South Florida, but across the state. We are joined today by Adam Rossen. Adam is the CEO and founding attorney of Rossen Law Firm, a nationally recognized criminal defense practice. And he's a former prosecutor with nearly 2 decades of experience. And he's grown his firm from a solo practice to one of the fastest growing law firms in the U.S., as honored by Inc. 5000 and Law Firm 500. He represents clients in DUI, domestic violence, drugs, sex crimes, violent offense cases. Sounds like a lot of fun. Leveraging his prosecutor. It sounds very serious, very serious.
Yes.
But beyond the courtroom, he also hosts the Success in South Florida podcast,
where you can find
a special guest. You can find it wherever you listen to your podcast. I guess
we'll ask him.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And he also teaches pre-law at American Heritage School, and he leads a selective criminal justice internship program.
Sounds like this guy doesn't have time for hobbies.
This guy's busy. I don't know.
What are you doing for hobbies?
So I do a ton of stuff, but...
Welcome, Adam.
Thank you.
Welcome, Adam.
Thank you. I know we'd been trying to get this done for quite a few months, and I'm down here in Miami now on location.
Oh.
So I'm glad we can get this done in person and hang out. And your office is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. My GC and interior designers are going to probably hate me after I start sending them
a bunch of pictures.
Are they going to come visit? Yeah. Our office won't be as big as this in Boca, but we got about a little over 5,000 square feet. We're building with a mock courtroom and really cool stuff.
Wow,
so,
that's great.
Serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're serious lawyers. They're like real lawyers.
And you started the firm as a solo. When was this?
Well, so I was a prosecutor for almost 2 years in Broward.
In Broward, okay.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
I was prosecutor in Miami.
Mr. Amron also.
Okay.
A few years before he was a prosecutor, though. Yeah. Yeah.
I was there from 06 to 08. And my roommate and I, we were both prosecutors. We lived across the street from the courthouse. It was college 3.0. If law school's college 2.0, we were a big frat house and sorority house with all of our friends. But after 2 years, we decided to leave together. Two young hotshot lawyers. We think we know everything. We had a business plan, but it was all in our head. We read the old school Bible of Jay Foonberg, how to start and build your law practice, whatever that was. And we quickly realized the plan was terrible, but we were like too young and too dumb to fail.
Right.
And what I mean by fail is we just didn't want to come crawling back. We made virtually no money. I think we were each making about 40 grand a year, as prosecutors, but we were 26. We had no, we weren't married, didn't have kids, nothing.
Able to take risks.
Yeah, and we just fell into some opportunities. Everything we planned for, none of that happened, but we fell into a bunch of other opportunities, but we never grew enough to build a real firm. We were together from 08 to 15, and we had no staff though, but we had enough where we could do it as true solos and not come crawling back.
And this was focused on criminal defense as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, only criminal defense.
Were you somebody
and
who
immigration.
And criminal and immigration. Are you somebody who knew, you wanted to be a criminal lawyer, or how'd you end up as a prosecutor?
I wanted to be a litigator.
You want to be a litigator?
It was PI or criminal. I did my CLI in criminal.
Certified legal intern.
Right. So at Miami, and I went to the Broward
State Attorney's office. I did the CLI. Where did you, at the Broward State Attorney's office?
I did it at Broward because my girlfriend at the time was in Broward, so I wanted to get out of Miami.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had 5 jury trials before I graduated. Had 1 guilty verdict. I won 1 of the 5.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beat a defense lawyer who later became a judge. So every time I was in front of her, I was like, "Hey, judge, you remember that trial that we had when I was still in law school and I beat you?"
I'm sure she
didn't like that.
No, I'm sure not. I'm sure not.
But I loved it. It was so much fun, and it was one of those things where I was just like, "Well, this is where I want to work." And I did. And I thought I was going to be there 20, 30 years, be a homicide prosecutor, but I quickly realized that was not my path for a variety of reasons. And me and my old partner, Bill, we just said, let's just do it. Let's do it. So we did it.
So you started that firm, and then fast forward to 2015, where what happened? You guys are realizing you're not going anywhere.
Well, Bill
split up.
Bill wanted to split. He had gotten married, had 2 children. I was single, and he was doing all the immigration. I was doing most of the criminal. And we were at different places in our lives.
Right.
So we're still very good friends. Actually, I talked to him yesterday. It was a good, easy, natural split, but I never tracked anything, never tracked the money. Who brought in what? We had no data. We weren't a law firm. And
I'm going to disagree. You were a law firm, but maybe you weren't a business.
Yes, we were not a business.
Right.
And that, on one hand, I was losing my partner, the person who I don't know if I would have actually been able to take the leap without holding his hand. But at this point, 7, 8 years later, I started to look back and start tracking the money. And I was like, wow, I'm bringing in 2/3. He's bringing in 1/3, even though he's also doing immigration and I'm not. So it made it easy. And I said, my back's against the wall. It's all me. I'm going to learn about marketing and law firm growth and how to run a business. I just naturally dove into the marketing. And before you knew it, we grew.
And this is 2015, and you're now on your own.
Yes.
This is now a Rossen Law Firm?
Right. Rossen Law Firm was technically born May 1st, 2015.
Okay.
And then just started, building and figuring out marketing. And it was kind of like criminal law in a way, or being a lawyer. Like, there's a problem, figuring out solutions. And, figuring out Google and different, legal directories and things like that. And I'm joining groups and paying money to invest in coaching in different groups. And before you know it, I think it was 2017, I know I had 3 trials in 4 weeks, and I was like, I can't do this anymore while trying to build and grow. So we hired a marketing director. By that time I already had a legal assistant. And then 2018, probably 6 months too late, I hired my first attorney. So we were up to about 3.5, 4 people. And then we grew to be a 6-person firm in 2020. Probably just under $1 million in revenue. We're hitting that part where it's like, all right, what are we going to be? And we had this big plans for 2020, and then COVID happened. But we converted everybody to marketing. We just said, hey, we have 2 new legal assistants. Well, guess what? You're now marketing assistants. Everybody's going to have a job for the foreseeable future, and we're just going to do anything and everything we can. And look, credit to Florida. We weren't closed too long, And I want to say by about August, September of 2020, we're having the best months ever. September, best month ever. October, November, December. And we're like, oh my God, like we're growing like crazy. And in 2021, we went from 6 to 13 employees.
Nice.
We 2.5x revenue. And then in 22, we went from 13 to about almost 20 employees.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just massive growth. And then since then, it's been law firm management. It's joining groups. I was already in a mastermind by then, but leveling up to higher level masterminds, trying to get in rooms with 8-figure law firms, multi 8-figure law firms. And even now, this year, I built out a private group of criminal defense lawyers who all have multi 7-figure firms. One has passed the 8-figure mark, and we all want to get to the 8-figure mark and beyond. And it's private. There's 10 of us in the group, and we meet every month on Zoom, and we meet in person about 3 times a year. And that's kind of our little private group now where, it's invitation only, and it's pretty exclusive. I put it together, but by no means am I the guru of this group. We actually kind of run it like an EO forum, like more like a peer group.
Right.
And that's just been tons of ups and downs through the journey.
So I find it interesting that your first instinct in hire was not to go out and find another lawyer to help with the work, but a marketing director.
Well, the first hire was actually a legal assistant, that did everything.
Okay.
But then before that, yes, it was a marketing director.
Yeah. What was the thought process there? Other than what, obviously what you said, but like, what's the thought? Because, the natural progression for a lawyer is like, all right, I'm going to grow. I have so much work. I'm so busy. I'm going to hire another lawyer to help me there, and then I can focus on other things.
I've still been in great legal marketing. Ben Glass's group, Ben's been a friend and mentor for over 10 years. And they were very big on hiring, a marketing assistant or director, somebody to grow. And out of all the groups, it's really focused on marketing. And as we're growing, I think part of it too is just maybe a little bit of fear though, taking on the big salary of a lawyer. But they came pretty quickly. Within 6 months of hiring the marketing director, and she was part-time, I needed to hire the lawyer. And I think hiring the lawyer was about 6 months too late. But it was more about, I need money. And at this revenue level, and I'll say I was probably, I remember I was, solo lawyer hitting about between 400 and 450 in revenue, where, I'm taking home most of it. But at that point, my thought process is I need clients, I need cases, I need direct response marketing. I'm not a brand. I don't have any money to put into a big brand yet. Now my mindset is totally different because of where we're at. But it was just give me more cases and more money, and then everything else can be figured out. And if I have to keep grinding till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I will. I think now I would totally do it differently, but that's what I chose back then, and I did. And 6 months later, I was like, I'm drowning.
So what would you do differently now that you've been through what you've been through? What would you have changed?
I would hire an executive assistant first. That would be that'd be my very first hire. Yes.
But you had a legal assistant, but
it was an executive assistant. Okay. I would hire an executive assistant, then I'd probably hire a legal assistant, but it would be somebody, maybe I'd probably hire them both at the same time and have them both overseas.
You're using a lot of VAs now? Or?
VAs are, our listener, virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant.
Right. So we have almost 10, right around 10 right now. 10 we have 4 in legal. They do a fantastic job. Now, of course, to do it right, we've had ups and downs, but to do it right, we've built out a whole training program. We know how to find them, train them. We know exactly what countries we're looking for and what type of people and what type of behavior traits. We use behavior testing now. Before that, we have 2 in our marketing department. Our graphic designer's in Brazil. He's absolutely amazing. We have a marketing assistant in Colombia. She's good as well. We have another person in intake, more of our receptionist. So that's 7. Our billing and collections guy is in Colombia. So all we got to do is get him on a flight to start breaking some legs. And it's good. He's got his visa if he needs to come here.
Nice.
No, but he's fantastic. So let's see, that's 8. And I might be forgetting 1 or 2. But pretty much
of the number that you said earlier in terms of number of employees, you count those 8 VAs in that.
Yes, right. They're employees. They're with us, and they're great. And it's been great for culture too. It really has.
Now, what was the first virtual staff member you hired, and how did you get comfortable with that?
The first one was a marketing, a graphic designer. We hired him through Get Staffed Up, so it was easy. I know Brett.
Yeah.
And Brett Tremblay's great.
Sure.
His company's very good. And so they made it very easy, and we learned. We just had to change that. That was probably the easiest one. Hiring for legal was harder. But for graphic design, it's just, we communicate through Google GChat,
right.
and stuff, and email, and we're on Google Meet, and we just communicate like anything else. But I think it's a lot easier to go with a graphic designer.
But when you say hiring for legal, do you mean lawyers?
VAs. The VAs for legal, that was much more challenging. And
what types of things do they do? On the legal side.
Yeah.
What types of things do they do?
Almost everything. And we've had a few different iterations of it. We're at 3+ years with having a legal department that is partially overseas. When we did it, we were very careful about building out the onboarding and starting with these are your 30-day tasks that we're going to master. These are your 60. These are your 90. And look, I had help. Our law clerk at the time, Shani, she's at Harvard Law School now, and she's on law review. I think she'll be graduating next year. So we had a very bright, she was young, but very bright person to help me build this. Because actually, for about a year or two before, I resisted having VAs for legal. And so where it's at now, we have 2 different types of support staff in legal, and only 2. We have case managers, and we run pods like PI. So our case managers must have criminal defense experience. They run the pods. They are client and case managers. They talk to the clients, and a lot of times more than the lawyers do. They manage the lawyers as far as the process. The cases, where are we at this? This case has been in the deposition phase for 6 months. We think it should only be in the depo phase for 3 months. What's going on? Now, of course, the lawyers are in charge of the legal strategy, but they have to explain why to their case managers. And so if there's warrants that are out or emergency issues, they fix that. And they're like the point guard where they're divvying up the work. And they must be US-based with experience, and they're paid a lot more. Then our legal assistants, usually lawyers in other countries or people that we just train up from nothing, but they're the factory workers. So they're filing the notice of appearances. Almost every case we have is in litigation. So they're the ones scheduling depositions. Florida in state court cases, we're very lucky to get depots, whereas in our federal cases, we don't. They're not doing so much client communication, but they're doing all the factory work, all the true legal assistant work. And we switched this model about 3 months ago. And we've had to do some, rewiring with our case managers to say, listen, you don't get your sense of value to the firm or sense of self-worth from saying, I just wrote this great, not a motion to suppress, because our lawyers and our law clerks do that, but you wrote this motion to return property. That's great. You helped lift this warrant or whatever. You did this and that. And now it's, no, you're in charge. You got to run this team and be this point guard, this dynamic point guard. That's where you get your sense of value from. Let somebody else do the very important work, but we can pay a third of the price for that. And so we've shifted that model, and that's helped a lot.
And are most of your engagements fixed fee?
Yeah, they're fixed.
Criminal is all
right.
Fixed fee.
Yeah, so we do it all fixed fees. Some of our restraining orders, some of our federal cases, we will go hourly, but it just depends.
Right.
And our lawyers don't like doing it because they're not used to billing.
Nice.
So where do you see AI coming into your practice, given how you're building your firm and using VAs and other offsite people? Right. And building these pods and all of that. I mean, where does that?
Yeah, we're using it tons, especially for flat fee, right? A great way to build in profits on flat fee for the past 5 to 7 years has been offshoring talent, and we get talented people offshore. But now it's, I'm looking at it as we grow. We're at 25 people. I don't want right now. I'm not thinking about adding on the next 15 people. I am thinking about adding on a significant amount of top line, and bottom line revenue, but how do we do it with 3 to 5 employees and leverage AI? So we're using a lot of AI tech as far as how we, make the product, summarize depots, prep for trial, do all of that. We're still analyzing a few different companies. But the big thing that I'm focusing right now on is voice AI. I mean, we have a 5-person marketing team. And our sales and intake team, they do the best that they can, but we're losing leads like crazy. We have a major hole in our bucket. And so we're converting our sales team from being lawyers, doing strategy sessions, to having real salespeople trained, non-attorneys, and doing case evaluations instead. And if it's a big case or you need a lawyer, well, the lawyer comes in for 15 minutes, kind of like the doctor, to give their expertise, and then they leave, and then you handle everything else with the salesperson, instead of having a lawyer do an hour to an hour and a half of strategy sessions. And so we're going to be moving away from our answering service. We have a company that we found that their voice AI tech is amazing. It's called Meet Gabby. meetgabbi.com. And the voice AI tech is absolutely amazing. I've tested out 20 different companies. And we're doing a 3-tiered approach. We're integrating them and then getting rid of our answering service. I just looked last week alone, we had 84 calls go to our answering service during business hours with 2 intake and 1 receptionist because we have so many leads.
Wow.
So the AI can handle all this. We're training it, we're operating it, and that's just during business hours. We get hired at 2 a.m. Nights, weekends, we're always on in criminal defense.
Right.
Once that works and is operationalized, and we know it will, we're going to convert our intake people. We've been converting and training them into more of a sales team. And then our receptionist, who's overseas, we're going to move back to legal because we actually took him from legal. We're going to move him back to legal. So basically, the goal is to eliminate our entire intake department, have intake covered by AI, and have sales covered by true sales professionals. And I believe that if we get 1 new case a month at an average case fee of $7,500, which I think is low, but very reasonable, plus the cost savings with our virtual answering service and shifting to not have the receptionist. And when you call the AI and you want to talk to legal, it can get directly routed to the case managers. So there's no need for a human being to be passing through, like the videos from the 1940s, with the telephone operator, right? Doing the switchboard, right? I think for us, for my firm where it's at, it's $250,000 of savings and gain.
Wow.
Easy.
Amazing.
With Meet Gabby. So I'm very excited for that partnership, and I'll be talking a lot more about that coming up soon.
Who makes the decision? You said if it's a more significant case, right, to bring a lawyer in on the front side of an intake versus, using the case manager.
We've been building that out for the last 3 months, but basically right now we're still rolling it out in phases. So any death case, any first degree, even second degree felonies.
There's
right
like a
now,
checklist.
Yeah, we built out a matrix where and our lawyers, because our lawyers want a lawyer. Yeah. They like signing up cases. When you're a public defender, you've never been chosen by somebody to be your lawyer. Now, you may get assigned to them and they might go, wow, you're amazing, I don't want you to leave. But they've never looked you in the eye and said, wow, there's 4 PDs here, I want you. And I think that's very special. And our lawyers love that. Even the ones who thought they wouldn't like sales, because sales is not a dirty word, right? When you have a great service, sales is a great thing, and you're helping people. So our lawyers have found that they actually like it. They like building relationships. They like hearing the stories. They like developing the strategy right away. But at the same time, they want to be lawyers. And so there's always been this push and pull of, well, I need time to get the work done, but you also need me to meet with clients, new potential clients, and sell the firm, myself, our services. And so we're shifting, whereas instead of maybe them being involved 8 to 10 hours a week, we want them involved 2 hours a week. And so we're working through it. I've just told the team, change management, we're learning, and we're going to have little bumps and mistakes, but it's all fine. And it's been great so far in the last 3 months. And it'll be fully rolled out by the end of the year. So about 3 more months. And
Great.
It'll be fun.
Is there an end? Is there a target? Like, do you want to be a certain size? Are you going to be national, global?
8 figures.
Multi
8 figures for sure, at least. Multi 8 figures.
Yeah, we really want to grow. So I don't actually handle the cases myself. I'm still involved on the really cool big stuff just because I like it. But we're looking to acquire firms. So, we're looking to acquire solos. I mean, I talk to solos all the time. Adam, I got 100 things to do. I just want to do 2. Well, great, let's talk. We have an executive team. We've been on EOS for 4 years. We want to get it more into Miami. We want to go into the Keys. We want to go to Naples. We're looking, to acquire either solos or firms that have value. And we're building out a nationwide adjacent practice. Our federal practice now is nationwide anyway, but I've seen a need for the specific niche of white collar and healthcare, for fraud, civil investigations, civil corporate and criminal. And what we're going to be doing is building it nationwide with of counsels across the country and having a nationwide firm, maybe based in Arizona, do an ABS model. We're trying to figure those things out. But those are the cool, exciting things that I get to do instead of, and I miss going to trial. My firm, we had 2 trials last week and I missed it. And I was sad, but this is bigger and better. And I think this is more of my calling. And it's very exciting. And nobody that I know of is doing this in criminal. The business of criminal law.
Yeah, exactly. It's at the top. I'm writing it down.
Write it down.
The business of criminal law.
I mean, it's amazing how, what was the sort of the switch that flipped for you, right? Because this is not taught in law school.
No.
This is not what you learn at the state attorney's office. No. This is not what you learn as a solo practice or with one partner, right? This is not what you learn. And clearly something, when you guys split, there was something that went off in you that said, yeah, I'm going to turn this into a business as opposed to just practicing law.
Right. It was a 10-year evolution because, that was 10 years ago. At first, it was just let me learn all about marketing because, again, I need money. Right? And I think money is a great amplifier. If you're a good person and you have more money, then you can do more good. If you're a bad person, obviously the same. So we didn't start, little things like we donate, for every referral we get, we donate a pair of shoes and to children in need through In Jacob Shoes. I'm on the board now. And so being around the other board members and seeing what they're doing, and we've donated over 1,300 pairs of shoes. So it's amazing. But being in masterminds, joining EO, being, I have my forum today in Miami, and out of the 7 of us, there's only 2 that are service-based businesses. And I wanted to be around lawyers that are doing big things, but also real entrepreneurs. People who have built a business, sold a business. People whose identity is not wrapped up with being a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, a chiropractor. And it just evolved over time. One of the best things I ever did was join Ben Glass's mastermind, I think in 2017 or 2018, because it just started, and look, I've spent, in the last 10 years, I've probably spent $500,000 easy on coaching and consulting over the last 10 years. But it's paid off and I've evolved. And a lot of it is just figuring out, what do I really want? Not what I need, not what other people want for me, just what do I want? And I want to do cool, big things and have fun.
What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want, right? Brett Amron? So what advice do you have for young lawyers, maybe someone who's a prosecutor or a public defender who's noodling the idea of starting their own firm or going out into private practice? What advice do you have for
what do you want? Figure out what you want. So if you want to be a great lawyer and you don't want to do it at the prosecutor or PD, but you still want to be a great lawyer, come talk to me. Because those are the people that we look for. If you want to truly own your business, then there's great ways that you can start your firm. And look, there's a lot of people that want to grow their firms, but they want to do it without them being the CEO, but with them being the managing partner or the lead trial lawyer. And that's great too. You can do that. You can hire a CEO or have those other things taken and still grow a really nice firm. But figure out what you want. If you love trials, because it's very hard to do both. And so when we grew in 2021, we grew from 2 lawyers to 5 lawyers in 8 months. And that 5th lawyer is the one that got me out of having a caseload. And a very talented lawyer came available. And I said, we don't need her right now, but she's the one to get me out. And if I'm out, I can grow the business. And it was a kind of sometimes I really tend to think and, use my lawyer brain a lot. Mm-hmm. This was one of the fastest, it wasn't an impulsive decision, but it was it was one of the fastest decisions I ever made. Within 3 days, I was like, yep, done. Done.
That's great.
Yeah, when you know.
Yeah. And so they really got to think about that, because Bill and I, we didn't. We were just upset about the policies, and we said, we just want to, screw it, we'll do it.
Right.
It worked for us, but there's a lot of people in government practice, and I'm sure, Brett, that are brilliant lawyers, but they leave, they can't get business, they can't run a firm or their business, even as a solo, and they go back because they just want to be the lawyer. And there's ways to do that without doing it at the government, like with us.
Sure.
But then there's other people that are very happy, and you get the tax benefits, right, and different things that solos can do. But you got to figure out what makes you happy, because there's always a way. And invest in coaching if you really want to.
Yeah.
I mean, all that money. I was smart, and I screw things up all the time. But with that, I was smart enough to say, this is an investment, not a cost. And here I am 10 years later telling you guys, spent over $500,000 easy. And it's been an amazing investment in coaching, consulting, groups.
Yeah, but over many years.
Over 10 years.
10 years.
Exactly.
So
easy.
right.
It's not that much.
No.
And it's paid off.
But at the time when you're doing it, I think especially for younger or earlier in their practice, people who are thinking about making those investments are reluctant to.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, wow, do I have time to do this?
Right.
That's the other one. And two, can I afford it? And they're both. If you don't have the time, that's exactly when you need it, right?
Right. So I think you got to read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He really emphasizes of hiring an EA first, and getting all those things off your plate so you can do more.
If you don't have an EA, you are an EA.
Right. And it took me until 2023, because I kept saying, well, who am I? I'm not good enough. I don't deserve one. What are people going to think of me? And it was,
really?
It was terrible mindset. Terrible mindset. And I think a lot of lawyers, though, have that bad mindset,
right,
whereas real entrepreneurs don't, and real business people and people who have either gone through mindset training or just grew up a different way. And so it's so important. Know what you want. Everything's an investment.
Yeah,
everything's a learning experience. I've wasted tons of money. We've made very expensive mistakes, but you learn.
Yeah. Well, those are lessons, right? I mean, we've made mistakes along the way, and I have made mistakes along the way. Mr. Bass not makes mistakes. But I mean, listen, that's part of running a business and growing a business and being an entrepreneur, and however you do
doing
it.
anything. How often do we do things that we get it right the first time? The very first time we try something for the first time. I mean, almost never.
It's one of the great themes that I have on DUI cases with the field sobriety exercise.
Yeah, right.
You got to know it's the client's first time. But yes,
hopefully
the lesson is people should practice. No, I'm just kidding.
Practice touching your nose with your eyes closed.
Yeah, get drunk and then practice your field sobriety test so that when it comes up, you're ready. What do you do for fun?
Yeah, so I love my kids.
Yeah. Okay. That's not an answer.
So much fun. Hanging with them.
No. That's not an answer, because we all love our kids. We love spending time with our kids. I want to know what Adam Rossen, does for fun for you. So
I was a high school basketball coach for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so I can't do that now. But what I do is I still coach the Maccabi games. So it's like the Jewish Olympics. Yep. Yeah. Just got back. Disappointing finish. We lost in the quarterfinals. We had our entire gold medal winning team from last year come back, and we got smacked by a team that on that day was a much better team. But I do that. I love that. It's only about 3 weeks out of the year, but we do a lot still with coaching. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're not going to let me, I guess, answer with my kids.
No, come on, that's okay.
Things, right, but a lot of things,
especially at that age.
Well, right at this age,
surrounds them.
Of course.
I didn't have my first son until I was 38, and so I waited. My friends were all my birth control, for years and years. But no, I'm just throwing a lot into my kids. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm teaching at American Heritage. I've always loved teaching, but an opportunity came up for me to teach criminal law and criminal procedure, but. Yeah, it's an amazing school and it's amazing, culture that they have. But I wanted to be involved, with my kids' education too.
Great. That's
great.
I'm
not joining the PTA to be a PTA dad, but being very involved in the school. I spent 12 days in Europe this year, and I hadn't been to Europe since my honeymoon which was like 7-8 years ago.
Right.
So we were able to get away finally, and just me, my wife, and adults. We left the kids at home.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice. Important.
DCF didn't know. No.
I'm sure.
now.
I'm sure they were well taken
now,
care
because
of.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they
yeah.
listen to this podcast.
I know. Never know, right? No, we had 3 different people take care of them.
Right.
And we just figured it out.
Yeah.
I play golf sometimes. But honestly, for me, it's my boys are really like, we wrestle, we hang out, we play. And my wife, like, I'm like simple in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, I like doing really, like, I love going to EO events and different things and traveling and having fun. But when I go to, I'm a member of How to Manage a Small Law Firm, that group. And when we have a meeting in Orlando or even in California, I want the kids to come because
of course,
they have it, but they also have a young entrepreneur club. So my 6-year-old now knows about money and buying and selling things. And he wants to start a YouTube channel, and he wants a Nintendo Switch, but he's got to pay, at least half for it. And just those kind of things.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously hang out, go to dinner with our friends, different,
Of course.
But I don't need to, like, I'm not going to be in, like, I'd love to play the piano.
If you have money or right.
Right.
So that's really the question. If money or time was no.
No, I like today. What are the things that you like to do? That is also all the stuff you talked about with building a business and working on the business, working in the business, all that stuff, and your family. There's also a need for you and your time, right? And what you want to do, whether it's 30 minutes a day or an hour a week or 2 hours, whatever it is, right? And sometimes reading, some people like to exercise, some people like to go play golf, whatever it is, that's an important component as well.
Well, for me, coming down here to Miami to hang with you guys and then do my EO forum, that's not work. I don't even consider this a work day. Because this is fun for me. 2 years ago, I read so many business books and different things that about 2 years ago, I said, what series, fiction can I read? And I thought it through and I'm like, Game of Thrones is too long and it's not finished. It's like, I'm going to read Harry Potter. It took me a year because I would just do a few every night.
Yeah.
It was like the greatest year of just 10 pages or so a night. And I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. So, I try to just do little different things throughout.
Sounds like you're staying busy.
Yeah, but
the kids at that age, when they're 2 and 6, that's
tough.
Of course, that's where you're going to spend all your time.
Right. Yeah. But a lot of people look at it as, I just want to do my thing. Like my dad, he wanted to go on the boat. He wanted to do, his weekends were his time, not our time. And so for me, growing up in that type of family, look, I love my parents. They were great, but I want to do things differently. He was a product, right? What was he? He's a baby boomer. Yeah. Different, I'm an old
nowadays,
millennial.
Right, yeah.
I'm 44 and I still
there are people around here that say that, but no, you're a millennial. There's no such thing as we're going to divide the millennial groups up. That's okay.
But that's the thing is, like, for me, if it's between my hobbies or spending time with my kids, I'd rather mesh my hobbies into theirs.
Yeah, certainly at this age with them, and I totally understand. We've been there. Like, our kids are now, they're grown. But
if my kids are 15, 16, and whether they're into sports, I'm going to be into that. If my oldest, if he's into robotics or something else, I want to be the dad that learned.
Of course.
And I want to do that.
You got to meet them where they are.
Right. But that was different. That's not the way I grew up.
No, of course.
And so to me, that's very important.
Different time, different. Yeah, for sure. Us too. Same stuff.
All right.
Are we landing?
Let's wrap it. That was
awesome.
Cool.
That was great. Thank
Adam,
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for coming in. Really inspiration. What you're doing and the firm you're growing has really been very impressive.
Yeah.
So.
Can't wait to see.
Can't
wait to see where it goes from here. Like, it's amazing. Really, kudos to you.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show and leave us a 5-star review.
I'm gonna talk over.
If you didn't,
talk over the readout.
Call me. I want to hear why.
Call Jeff.
Operators are standing by.
Thanks, Adam. Nelson, thank you, sir, as always, and Mr. Bast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @fastamron.